I never meant for him to hear it. Honestly, I assumed Derek was still in the garage, lost in one of his tinkering projects, or maybe just scrolling his phone somewhere on the couch. I even lowered my voice so only my sister would catch the joke. But just as I said the words, this flippant remark about how if I could go back, I'd never date him now, the entire kitchen fell silent. And it wasn't because Danny was shocked. It was because Derek stood in the doorway, staring at me with an expression I can't describe. It was almost as if something inside him had finally broken. He didn't yell, didn't even look furious. He just gave me this hollow look and walked away. At first, I scoffed like it was some big overreaction on his part. I turned back to Danny, saying, "He'll be back. He always is." I can't even explain why I was so callous. Maybe after years of being the one who ran the show, I had convinced myself Derek would never truly leave. I was wrong. Derek didn't come home that night. Or the next. I tried calling, then texting, then calling again. No answer. Danny said I should apologize, maybe show some remorse. I brushed it off at first, telling her I hadn't done anything that bad. "People vent to siblings all the time," I said. "Why is he so sensitive?" But on the second day, that uneasy feeling crawled into my gut. Derek had never stayed away this long without even a courtesy text. I scrolled through social media. Nothing from him. Our bank account showed a charge from a roadside motel out by the highway. He hadn't packed any of his things or asked me to send him clothes. It was so unlike him that I actually started to worry. The turning point arrived when his mom phoned, politely checking if we were having a quarrel. I lied. I said everything was fine. But after I hung up, I stared at Derek's empty side of the bed and felt this prick of guilt. I've always known we had issues. I've rolled my eyes at him, teased him about his weight or how quiet he gets at parties. But I never thought a simple slip of the tongue, I wouldn't even date him now, would push him away this hard. By the third night, I decided I'd had enough. I drove to that motel listed on our bank records, marched up to the front desk demanding to see my husband. The clerk gave me this polite grin, telling me they couldn't reveal guest information. Sorry. It was infuriating. I half wanted to stand in the lobby and shout his name until he appeared. Instead, I texted him. "I'm here. Please come out. Let's talk." No reply. I ended up driving home more annoyed than before. All I could think was, he's punishing me. That's who Derek had become. The silent punisher. He used to be the calm, patient one, always smoothing over conflict. But over the last year or so, he'd gotten more distant. Things that used to amuse him, my random outbursts, my jabs, no longer drew that gentle smile or indulgent shrug. It was like he'd shut down. Maybe I resented him for it. So in that kitchen with Danny, I decided to express my frustration in the cruelest way. And now he was showing me I couldn't push him around. Great. Was I supposed to applaud him for stepping up now? On the evening of the 5th day, the front door finally opened. I was half asleep on the couch, but jolted up at the sound. Derek walked in with a small duffel bag, not his usual big workout bag, like he didn't plan on staying long. My heart hammered. This was the moment. We'd either fight or cry or do both, then get back to normal. Instead, he set the bag down and took one slow breath. "We need to talk," he said, voice tight. I jumped to my feet, arms folded. "Yeah, we do. What's with disappearing for almost a week? You realize how immature that looks?" He sighed, glancing around the living room like it felt foreign to him. "I needed space. You said something that cut deeper than you realize." I tried to wave it off, but a tremor of shame rippled through me. "I told Danny I might not date you if I could go back in time. Do you really think it's that serious?" His eyes hardened. "It's not just that one sentence. It's everything. The constant digs, the way I feel like you look down on me, how you treat me like an embarrassment." I felt a spike of anger. Me? Looking down on you? You're the one who left without a word, couldn't even text. Seriously, Derek, that's how you handle a marriage problem? By running off? His hand briefly clenched into a fist, but he forced it open. If I'd stayed, we would have fought. I wanted to figure out if this marriage is even salvageable, because I've just discovered something in my life that changes everything, and I don't want you to be part of it if this is how you see me. A flicker of anxiety coursed through me. What are you talking about? He grimaced. I'm not ready to say more yet. Then he reached for his bag again. I'm heading upstairs to get some clothes. I'll be out of your way soon. He went upstairs, ignoring my barrage of questions. I followed him, heated, demanding he stop and explain. But he just grabbed random items from the closet, stuffing them into the duffel. I stepped in front of him as he tried to pass. I deserve an answer, I said, my voice shaking. We're married. You can't just say there's something huge and then leave again. He set his jaw. I can, if the alternative is letting you tear me down whenever you're in a mood. Something in me snapped. Tear you down? Maybe if you tried a little harder? We were standing inches apart, the tension so thick it was suffocating. I raised my hands in frustration. We used to connect, talk for hours. Then you got comfortable, put on weight, stopped being that confident guy I first met. He took a step closer, eyes dark with hurt. Go ahead, tell me everything you dislike, because I'm finished apologizing for not being your fantasy. We both breathed heavily. Just then, I lost my balance, knocking a small jewelry dish off the dresser. Glass shattered on the floor. He instinctively tried to nudge me away from the shards. My anger flared at him, physically guiding me. Don't, I snapped, pushing his arm aside. I can handle myself. He froze, eyes blazing. This is exactly why I left. I don't know if I wanted to strike him or pull him into a hug. My emotions were whiplashing. Instead, he stepped around the glass, duffel bag over his shoulder, and looked at me with a kind of resigned determination. I hope you realize I'm serious this time. And he was gone again, leaving me trembling in the wreckage. For days, I wandered the house like a restless ghost. My phone remained suspiciously quiet. Derek had always texted me updates on everything from buying groceries to scheduling dentist appointments. Now, nothing. I looked at old pictures, him smiling, me leaning on his shoulder, the pair of us on our wedding day. It made me want to throw the phone across the room. How dare he act like I was some monster? Then I found a clue. It happened when I tried to track a possible location for him, scouring the bank statements again. But aside from the motel charges, there was a different, smaller payment to an account I didn't recognize. Curious, I followed the transaction trail and it led me to a woman's name. Rachel. That set off alarm bells. We'd never had a friend named Rachel. I felt a twist in my gut. Was he cheating? I confronted Danny with the idea. She tried to talk me off the ledge, telling me not to jump to conclusions. But the next day, I stumbled upon an email left open on our old desktop. Yes, we still had one of those in the study. The subject? About your son. I nearly choked. My eyes flew over the text. Rachel was reaching out about a boy, apparently Derek's child. She was apologizing for dropping the bomb on him, admitting she should have told him sooner, but was relieved he wanted to help now. My legs almost gave out. Derek had a child? He'd known for a while, apparently. And he never told me. All that talk about something that changes everything started to click in a horrifying way. I realized with a cold jolt, Derek never intended to share his fatherhood with me. Maybe that was what he was so quiet about. And after hearing me talk about him like a worthless regret, he decided he didn't want me anywhere near that child. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. Then I slammed my fist on the desk, furious. A child? The man I married had a 10-year-old son from a past fling, or ex, or whatever she was, and I was the last to know. A swirl of betrayal twisted inside me, but also a creeping sense of guilt. Would I have been supportive if he'd told me? Or would I have called him irresponsible, or scolded him for the financial burden? I couldn't sit still. I paced the hallway twice, then stood by the window, staring blankly at the street below like Derek might magically appear out of the fog. My chest felt like it was packed with wet cement. He had a son, a real child, and I was the last to know. I typed another message, deleted it, then typed again. I know, about your child. You should have told me. Read. No response. We're still married. You can't hide something like this. Delivered. Silence. He made me wait 2 more hours before his reply appeared. Just one line. I'll meet you tomorrow at the coffee shop on Maple 4 p.m. I stared at it for a long time. Heart hammering. Relief. Fury. Panic. All of it tangled together. By morning, I wasn't sure what I wanted from that conversation. Reassurance? An apology? Maybe just proof that I still mattered to him. That this reality he was building hadn't fully erased me yet. I got there early, too early, choosing the farthest table from the window, heart racing every time the door opened. What was I even planning to say? Let's talk about your secret child? Convince me you didn't plan to replace me? A waitress asked if I wanted coffee. I said no, then yes, then regretted both. Was he afraid I'd ruin everything, or did he just not care enough to explain? I pulled out my phone again. No new messages, no change. The clock turned 3:59. I exhaled hard, throat dry, hands clenched in my lap. He arrived first, sitting in a corner booth, arms crossed as if bracing himself. I slid into the seat across from him. We stared at each other for a long beat. He spoke first. I assume you saw the email? I forced a hollow laugh. You think? I can't believe you were hiding your own son from me. His gaze flicked away. Because I know how you talk about me. You've made it clear you have no respect for who I am now. Why would I trust you to be kind to a kid who'll need patience, compassion? I bristled, leaning forward. So your plan was to just bail on me forever? Act like we didn't share a life, a home, vows? Derek exhaled. I was going to tell you eventually. But then I heard what you said to your sister. I realized I didn't want my son in an environment where you only see flaws. I felt a twinge of shame, but I refused to let it show. Don't turn this into protecting your child from me. This is about your ego. You can't handle the idea that I'm disappointed in the man you've become. His jaw tightened. I'm not proud of who I used to be either. I let myself get walked on. I let you belittle me for years. He paused. I won't do it anymore, and I won't let you belittle my son. That one stung. My voice started to shake. So you're ditching your marriage because of one offhand comment? He shook his head, eyes cold. It's not one comment. It's a pattern. And there's more you don't know. I glared at him. What else could there possibly be? He hesitated, then said quietly, I've been seeing a therapist for months. At first it was purely professional. She helped me realize how toxic this marriage was for me. He swallowed hard. She's someone I trust, and I have an emotional connection with her that I never had here. I stared. You fell in love with your therapist? The words came out in a hushed, horrified whisper. He looked away. Not at first. But yes, I care about her. She cares about me, about my well-being. She never tears me down. My stomach churned. I wanted to leap across the table and shake him, scream that he was a traitor. But part of me recognized that he was describing exactly what I'd let slip away. Instead, I spat out, So you're cheating. Great. And you have a secret son. Congratulations, you're a saint. He closed his eyes, frustration etched on his face. I didn't cheat. She refused to cross professional boundaries. It only shifted after I left you. My throat burned with humiliation and fury. That's just semantics. He stood abruptly, tossing some bills on the table for our coffees. I'm done being the bad guy in your story. I can't fix what's broken between us. I don't want to. I'm finalizing this. I have a child who needs me to be stable, and I'm not stable with you. Then he walked out, and I just sat there, stunned, ignoring the stares of the other patrons. I felt gutted, like everything I'd built my identity around was unraveling at once. My husband had a therapist-turned-love interest. My husband had a son who he believed I'd mistreat. My husband was serious about leaving me. For good. The next weeks were a barrage of legal papers and phone calls. Derek wanted a divorce, and he wanted it done cleanly. No messy fights. But I refused to sign easily. I lashed out whenever he emailed or texted, trying to guilt him. I was your wife for years. Don't act like I never supported you. He rarely responded, except to calmly confirm small details about finances or the house lease. All the while, I sank into a spiral of frustration. Friends took sides. Some told me I should apologize and change. Others insisted Derek was at fault, calling it emotional cheating. But no matter how many times I told them the story, no one could rewrite what Derek had heard me say in that kitchen. The truth was, I'd told my sister I wouldn't date my own husband if we were to start over. It was brutal, heartless. I was learning the hard way that words once spoken can't be unsaid. I tried contacting the woman, Evelyn, the therapist he had grown close to, but I didn't have her number or her address. Probably for the best. I might have done something drastic. Instead, I posted a few angry rants on social media about men who abandon their wives for a fling. People commented, some supporting me, others saying I was lucky he stayed as long as he did. That last part stung more than anything else. Was it so obvious how I treated him? We did have one more face-to-face meeting. It was supposed to be for dividing up furniture and finalizing the end of our lease. We met at the old house. I got there first, rummaging through the living room. Memories everywhere. Photos from our wedding, souvenirs from a vacation we took early in our marriage. The door opened and Derek walked in with calm determination. A wave of resentment hit me. How could he be so composed? He started gathering certain items, stacking them in boxes. I'll just take these, if that's okay. I snorted. What if it's not okay? He paused, then without looking up said, I'm trying to handle this responsibly, Lindsay. Don't make it a fight. My face flushed. Don't make it a fight? You're the one who kept secrets, the one hooking up with your counselor. His head snapped up, eyes narrowed. Watch your words. She did nothing wrong. He tried to step past me with a box. I moved in front of him, blocking his path. A surge of tension filled the air. You walk out on me, humiliate me, then expect me to just watch you take half the house we built? He took a slow breath. We both contributed to this place, but you keep what matters most to you. I don't care about the furniture anymore. I just want peace. I reached out, grabbing the corner of the box. No, stop acting like you're above everything. He tried to hold on, and we stumbled a bit. The box nearly fell, and I felt his elbow jab into my side as he balanced it. I shoved him, not hard, but enough that he staggered. He steadied himself, eyes locked on me with an intensity I'd never seen. I thought for a second he might shove me back or shout. Instead, he inhaled sharply, then lowered the box. I'm not doing this, he murmured. If you need the couch, the TV, take them all. I won't argue. I froze, the weight of it all pressing down. How much I'd wanted to be heard, to not be left behind, yet how relentlessly I'd attacked him. At that moment, I realized we'd become strangers locked in an ugly scuffle over old memories. He ended up walking out again. And that was the last time we stood under the same roof as husband and wife. Over the next few months, the divorce was finalized. Papers signed, names separated, finances split. I found a tiny apartment, trying to piece my life together. Meanwhile, I caught glimpses of Derek through social media and random acquaintances. It was infuriating how well he seemed to be doing. He'd started a digital consulting firm. Apparently, it was booming. He posted pictures of small business owners praising his approach. He lost weight, too. A friend showed me a photo, and he looked almost unrecognizable. Leaner, wearing nicer clothes, hair trimmed with confidence. Next to him was a woman, presumably the therapist, though she never faced the camera fully. The two of them looked happy, deeply so. I hated how it made me feel, this knot in my stomach. I tried to paint him as a cheater, or at least a liar, but every time I vented to someone, I could see them thinking, "Isn't this what you said you wanted? A man who'd shape up, be more ambitious?" The truth stung. Yes, ironically, he had become more like the Derek I'd always claimed I wanted, but only after leaving me behind. Months later, I was mindlessly scrolling online when I saw a link to a local business magazine featuring Derek M. From underdog to entrepreneur. Curiosity burned, so I clicked. My heart pounded as I read. The article talked about his career pivot, how he overcame personal hurdles, found clarity, discovered a sense of worth. There were lines hinting at a previous environment that stifled him. A part of me wanted to scream that it was all so one-sided, that he was ignoring my perspective. But another part recognized the deeper truth. I had stifled him. I had made him feel so small, apparently for years. Then came a photo, mid-article, of Derek sitting across from a woman who was half smiling, pen in hand. She was the interviewer. Her name was mentioned. Evelyn, presumably the same therapist he'd grown close to. They looked natural together. Comfortable. She'd left her practice to focus on writing, the caption said, and they were collaborating on mental health and business synergy. My stomach twisted again. He'd found success, a new love, even a new purpose. And I was left scrolling the internet, searching for glimpses of the life that used to be mine. One evening, I ventured to a local entrepreneur expo out of sheer curiosity. I told myself it was for networking, but part of me knew I wanted to see if Derek was there. He was. And not just as an attendee, he was on stage giving a talk about digital branding. People applauded, nodding enthusiastically. I stood at the back, watching him radiate confidence like I'd never seen before. When the crowd dispersed, I stepped forward, half hoping he wouldn't notice. But he did, nodding in polite acknowledgement. He introduced me to a few colleagues with perfect calm. "This is Lindsay," he said, "not my wife, or my ex. Just my first name." I felt so small. He excused himself from them, guiding me aside. His eyes flicked over my face, noticing how tense I was. "What brings you here?" I swallowed. "Curiosity. Wanted to see if your talk was any good." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "I hope it was. People seem to enjoy it." Bitterness flared, but I clamped it down. "So this is your new life," I said softly, scanning the banners, the well-dressed entrepreneurs, the cameras. "You always claimed you hated public speaking." "I guess people can change," he replied. Then, with a gentle nod, "Are you doing okay?" His kindness caught me off guard. "I'm managing," I muttered, hugging my purse to my side. Silence stretched. He didn't rub my face in his success, didn't berate me. Instead, he simply said, "I hope you find what you're looking for, Lindsay." In that moment, I realized how far apart we'd drifted, like two separate realities. My mind flashed to the day I told Danny I wouldn't date him if I could go back in time. The memory was as sharp and painful as a fresh wound. I forced myself to speak. "I never meant for it to end like this." He gave a somber nod. Neither did I. We stood there, two ex-partners weighed down by regrets. Then a call from across the room caught his attention. Another interview, maybe. Another moment in his new, bright life. He offered me a small, almost sad smile before turning away to greet the journalist beckoning him. I remained where I was, feeling the eyes of the crowd pass over me as if I were invisible. In the end, we parted for good. He moved on, fully integrated into a new career and a stable relationship with the woman who had first been his counselor, though he insisted it started only after our separation. He introduced his son publicly, acknowledging the boy in sweet photos that garnered supportive comments online. People praised him for stepping up as a father. Meanwhile, I quietly withdrew from certain social circles. My attempts to smear him as an unfaithful husband never truly stuck. Everyone saw how calm and gracious he was, how deeply he'd changed. I sometimes wonder if I missed the opportunity to fix things. Could I have apologized sooner, shown genuine remorse? Would it have mattered? Maybe not. The truth is, the seeds of resentment ran too deep on both sides. And the night he overheard me belittle him was just the final crack in a relationship that had been eroding for years. So here I am, telling this story in a confessional form I used to scoff at. I know how I must sound. The woman who drove her kind, patient husband away with constant criticism, only to watch him flourish without her. If it reads like a morality tale, well, maybe it is. Words matter. Respect matters. I learned it too late. And though I'd love to say I've found my own triumphant rebirth, the reality is more complicated. I'm doing better, sure, working on myself, going to my own counselor now, ironically. But it's a slow, often lonely road. The few times I see Derek, always from a distance, always in a moment of success, I'm reminded of how far we've drifted. He has a new life, a new love, a child he adores, and a business that gives him purpose. I have a quieter existence, stripped of illusions. To anyone reading, take it from me. Be careful how you speak to those you claim to love. That single sentence, I wouldn't date him now, wasn't the sole reason Derek left. It was simply the final push that made him stop believing in us. And once someone truly stops believing, no regrets or apologies can rebuild the trust lost. In that sense, I did get what I deserved, or at least what I created with my own words. And he, despite the pain and secrets, found a path to happiness. Maybe there's a lesson in that. Sometimes, heartbreak is the only way for one person to find their voice, and for the other to learn silence can be devastating. I'll carry that knowledge forward, hoping one day to find a new beginning where I choose respect over cutting remarks and humility over scorn. Until then, I'm left with the echoes of the life I once took for granted,